So I just recently saw an episode of a new show on HBO Max called Pause with Sam J. And two of the guests were King Randall and Olivia Rondeau. Great interview. Gotta check it out. And be sure to stay tuned for the entire episode because at the end, I tell you how you can see this entire interview, this entire episode of Sam J's show for free. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. So during the show, the episode is talking about coons, and basically that word where it's used to describe a black person who's basically a sellout, who's actually opposition, working against black people. And she has two black conservatives on there to discuss how they deal with that label or potentially receiving that label. And it's really interesting because they start talking about, one, why they're conservative, what they feel conservatism can do for the black community, and their own personal journeys. So we start with Olivia Rondeau, and she's talking about how she's a pro-black conservative, and that automatically, Sam J's like, pro-black conservative. Like, I didn't know those two things can go together. And Olivia explains, yeah, definitely. I believe in, conservative principles, smaller government. And I feel that these things, that conservative policies can help the black community. Then you have King Randall, of course. And as you know, if you know anything about King Randall, his motto, do for self. So that's definitely what he talks about. He says, do for self. That's my motto. That's what, that's what I believe in. That's why I'm conservative. And he talks about this incident that happened in his area where kids were being chased around by some white van, kids waiting outside for the school bus. And so, he said like they were, the mothers was like, oh no, what's going to happen? So we got to do something. Pray that our kids are all right. And he's like, just pray. No, we got to do something. So he reached out over social media, said, hey, brothers, we gotta go out on patrol. Like from 6 o'clock to 7:30, we need to be out there making sure ain't nothing going on. So that's what they started doing. And sure enough, white van just disappeared. And he's like, that's how you get things done. You do for self. When he mentions the do for self, Sam J interjects. She says, okay, look, I get that. I get the notion of doing for self, but so I get personal responsibility, but what about accountability? Black people pay taxes, so why shouldn't we be getting, police protection? Why shouldn't we have good schools? Why shouldn't we get all these things? And he says, yeah, I agree. But I wanted to point something out about that. That's the point. I'm like, I can do it for myself. If I can do something for myself, what do I need you for? I don't. And I definitely don't need your hands in my pocket. So in terms of personal responsibility and accountability, yeah, I'll do it myself. You get your hands out of my pockets. And we don't have to deal with each other as much. So government likes to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. And even government will make certain things illegal and then offer we'll make something illegal and then sell you back a right, make a right of yours illegal and then sell it back to you at a price. No, I'll do it myself. You keep your hands out of my pocket, leave me alone. And that's my approach to government. It's I don't want you taking my money. I work for my money. It's my money. I can take care of myself. I don't and if we get to that point, number one, in terms of black wealth, that's how we build black wealth so much faster. Number two, if you're dealing with systematic racism, why would you want that system to have more power over your life? I don't want that power. I don't want that system to have any power over my life. And I know there's a bunch of us out there that don't want it to have power over our lives. But these scumbag politicians who have a vested interest in giving that system power over our lives keep selling us these solutions, which actually aren't solutions. So when they keep pushing for, oh yeah, we need more money in schools. No, we need really we need to be educating our own kids. We need you to get out the way. We need you to stop interfering, because if you just take a look at what's been going on, if you just take a look at the quality, the level of job the government has been doing with these things, whether it's schooling, whether it's government housing. Like, look at NYCHA. NYCHA is the worst landlord in New York City, where there's police. Police were supposed to be protecting people, murdering unarmed people, beating people up, violating their rights, and then getting mad that people have a problem with it, and then saying like, no, you shouldn't be able to sue us. We should have immunity from being held accountable for violating your rights and the law. Like, what? And these police unions just want to give police more power, and we need to be saying, no, we're good. We can handle this. Because when we have accountability to ourselves, then we have the personal responsibility. We're taking care of ourselves. We're accountable to ourselves, and we can keep our money for ourselves and our communities and our children, instead of having wealth constantly being stolen by this corrupt, just inept. It's not really inept. It's very adept at doing what it's intending to do. Like, these mistakes are not by accident. And another interesting thing is that Sam J then asks them, well, how do you feel aligning yourself with a party that has a history of racism? And I was, perplexed by that question, because I was like, I didn't know they were Democrats. I don't know if Sam J is aware of the history of the Democratic Party. I definitely know that, there's plenty of Republicans who have the talking points down. But aside from the talking points, the fact is, you want to look at a party with the history of racism, look at the Democrats. Listen to what Malcolm X was talking about. He was talking about the Dixiecrats. They were Southern Democrats. That's it. Like, this is historical fact. But they've done such a great job of pretending that they're not racist, and that the real racists are over there. Meanwhile, you take a look at things like, the horrible criminal justice legislation that has created mass incarceration in the United States, and their illustrious Democratic president, who's in office right now, was right there front and center leading the charge. So I'm pretty sure they did push back on that point, but it wasn't like a live interview, so certain things may have gotten cut out, and I'm pretty sure that was part of one of the things they immediately like, whoa, the history of the Democratic Party. But yeah, that's something that definitely cannot be forgotten. That if you want to talk about a party with a history of racism, you got to talk about the Democrats too. And so now, one of the really interesting things is the next question. And this question was when Olivia looks at Sam and says, what do you think of when you think of a conservative? What do you think conservative looks like? And of course, a black conservative. What do you think a black conservative looks like? And of course, you knew what the answer was going to be. Candace Owens. And that's what people, I did a video on it. I talked about it. I said, listen, the left loves Candace Owens. Why does the left love Candace Owens? Because that's who they can prop up as the face of conservatism. This is what a black conservative looks like. So if you see somebody who is a black person, who is a conservative, that's what they are. And Candace Owens says some just vile, ridiculous stuff about black people, and constantly is attacking black people, constantly minimizing the issues of black people, providing no solutions for the issues of black people. And that's what they love, because they get to point at her and say, see, that's what a black conservative is. And it discredits the entire black conservative movement. And that's why you will have people like Sonny Johnson. You have people like Olivia Rondeau and King Randall who will tell you, hey, listen, we're here. And these are the conservatives you need to be looking at. You need to be looking at other conservatives who can actually reach across the aisle, who actually respect the black community, who can actually connect with the black community and make progress. Because Candace Owens has no desire to get to connect with the black community. Candace Owens' main concern is elevating Candace Owens. And so she knows if she says inflammatory things about the black community, she knows the mainstream media will push her. And when they push her and when they attack her, so like seriously, she's playing the game, pretty shrewdly. She knows that because the right is so reactionary, she knows that she says something disrespectful about black people, the left will play it all day long. Why? Because that helps them keep black people away from conservatism. That lets them paint the picture that only we are here for you. Only we care about you. They hate you. And Candace very well may. But if y'all embrace Candace when she's saying ridiculous, stupid stuff, that makes it seem like you agree with the stupid stuff she's saying. And they counter that. So Candace says something ridiculous about black people. She calls black culture just broken and deplorable and disgusting, and black people are just stupid and what is it, trading chimpanzees, slaves on a plantation. She says all kinds of ridiculous, racist nonsense. And you may say, oh, why are you saying racist? If calling Tim Scott Uncle Tim is racist, calling black people slaves on a plantation because they're Democrats is racist. You can't be mad that they called Tim Scott Uncle Tim and then say, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with calling every other black person that votes Democrat a slave on a plantation. No, that if one is racist, they're both racist. So stop with the nonsense. But here's the point. She knows if she says it, the left will play it. The left will give her a platform. The left will talk about her. The left will pump her up. And then y'all, because y'all are reactionary, will run to defend her. Instead of saying, no, there are plenty of black conservatives who disagree with what she's saying. Because that's all you don't have to say, oh, the left is right about X, Y, Z. You say, well, no, this other black conservative is right about the issue. That's her opinion. Not all of us agree with it. And you have the option. The simple fact is, too many of you are choosing not to make the option. And it's like Sonny Johnson will always say, you have a choice. It's not about the person, it's about the ideas. Because really, it's not about the person. Candace Owens is not the first person to say this. She's reading a script. It's a script I've been hearing for years. And that's why there's so many young people who are like, wow, she's so brave. No, she's reading a script. I know, because I've seen other angry black female conservatives say the same thing. Do you remember Stacey Dash? It's a script. Do you remember Crystal Wright? It's a script. And this is why I know Candace Owens is a fraud, because it's a script, and I've heard people say it years and years before her, and she's just reading and regurgitating the same talking points. But this is the point. If you have people like an Olivia Rondeau, you have people like a King Randall, if you have black conservatives that actually respect their communities, that actually respect black people, that actually are doing work within the black community, you have a choice. You have a choice to support and to promote black conservatives that can actually reach the black community. Be sure to check out the interview. In fact, I'm going to leave a link to the episode. It's on YouTube. Right now, as of this point, it's completely free. The entire episode in its entirety is free. I'm leaving a link in the description below. As always, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. If you disagree with what I said, if you're a fan of Candace Owens and you think, oh, leave Candace alone, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. But don't just give me a thumbs down and run away. Give me a thumbs down and say why in the comment section. I will address it either in the comment section or in a future video. I'll see you next time.